Hello, dear ones. It's Reverend Karen Russo of the Money Keys, and I'm here with my beautiful friend, Reverend Jennifer Hadley. And this is super exciting. You've got like goddesses from all parts of North America sharing with you. And today's topic is an invitation. It's an invitation to a series of retreats that my dear friend Reverend Jennifer is leading in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. So the title of this is There Are Three Sequential Retreats: Writing, Teaching, and Speaking for you, lightworkers, healers, authors, speakers, coaches, teachers who want to take your practice and your gifts to the world from a very deep and powerful spiritual place. And so I'm excited. I'm going to be asking my dear friend and prayer partner a bunch of questions, but who's ever, if you're watching this video, I want you to tune in energetically. Like, people in my world have a gift to share, and they want to do it with that, spiritual circulation and financial circulation. So if there's a call for you to put those things together, I think you're going to love hearing about these three retreats, August 16th to 26th in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. So Jennifer, I'm going to say a word or two about you, and then we'll get started. So Reverend Jennifer Hadley. So some of you might know some of her, her resume is she's an ordained minister. She's one of the most prolific teachers of A Course in Miracles on this planet at this time. So she's taught over 60,000 people elements of the Course. She's a powerful, prolific writer. So for like a decade, she's been writing a daily inspirational blog that is read and downloaded and touches people. And, I'm a bit of a writer. That kind of frequency, consistency, you got to be tuned in and powerful. So she's a prolific writer. She's a beautiful workshop facilitator and teacher, intuitive, present, life-changing. And then the final thing about Jennifer is, when she speaks, her Unity radio show is, of the 40 radio shows they have at Unity Radio, she gets 20% of the downloads. Like, people want to hear what she has to say. And pretty much every time Jennifer does a summit, like it's speakers and teachers, we get invited to do summits, 99 times out of 100, who's ever the host, that famous person who's hosting the summit, who's interviewing Jennifer, the first thing they'll do is they'll be like, oh my God, I want to talk to you more because, you're going to help heal me. So here she is, my beautiful friend, teacher of teachers, beautiful Reverend, amazing woman, sweet Reverend Jennifer Hadley. So Jennifer, what does it feel like when I say all that about you?
Well, it's wonderful, I'm so happy that it's all true and it's real, because what I'm interested in doing is inspiring other people to step into sharing their gifts and talents in the world in ways that are profoundly fulfilling and inspiring, just like I've learned to do. And of course, I'm up-leveling my skills every single day. I am truly called by Spirit to support other light workers in sharing their gifts and talents. This is a time for us to rise and shine, and there's so much more that we can offer. A lot of times we don't have the skill sets, and we feel worried and afraid, and we start playing small because we think things have to change in the world before we can do we're called to do. And I really learned that no, things don't change in the world, things change in here, and then we can answer that call fully and completely. So everything that you said is all what I've worked on.
Yeah.
And it's been my heart's desire, and it's being fulfilled every day, and I'm profoundly grateful because Spirit is working through me.
Yeah. So everybody who's just like, you're kind of tuning in, us, but just, I want you to kind of feel like for Jennifer to say, yes, this is true, because yes, this is my practice. And that's the level of the call that I think that people who have a message they want to share, it's a call. And then, so it's a call to go deeper. So tell us a little bit about what made you decide you wanted to do the series of 3 retreats and the back-to-back nature of it?
Yeah, well, Karen, everything that I do, I've really learned to only do what Spirit calls me to do. So the 3 retreats are back to back because I've learned over the years that there are people all over the world, people in Australia, people in Asia, people in Europe, that would like to come, but it's a long trip to come. So I got the guidance to stack them up so people could come to 1, 2, or 3 of them. And that's what people are doing. That's exactly what people are doing. And also, I've learned this. I train spiritual counselors, and I also offer healing retreats. And I've learned to put 2 of those together. And when people come to the healing retreat and then go into the spiritual counseling training intensive, they blow their socks off. And it's normal for people who come and do work with me for 10 days to literally say, I had a permanent physical healing of a chronic issue, or I had a permanent physical manifestation of some true healing, and also relationship healing and things like that. So I know that when we come together for an extended period and really delve into the work, we're much more likely to let go of inhibitions and resistance and reluctance and excuses, and to go all in. It's another reason that this is the way it is I'm giving people homework to do ahead of time to prepare, because I really feel that there are so many people who have inspiration to write. They have workshops to lead. They have classes to offer, and they have talks to give. And it takes so much to bring all that personal, I mean, you and I, we've watched each other grow and really come into our own power. And it takes a lot. I always say it takes a village to raise a teacher or a minister. It takes a lot. And so being able to work in a group and work together, we can, you fall down, you try things that don't work, you learn and grow from it. It's fun. It's exciting. And you can get so much accomplished in a short period.
And I think there's such the whole thing about going from small to big is it's really important to be in a field of a group of people who believe in you can be big, and then have the experience of seeing it in somebody else. And just over days and time, you can have having the bigger breakthrough is in some ways, when it comes to sharing your gifts, that's almost more powerful and likely to be more permanent than thinking, well, I'm going to develop my workshop with 15-minute-a-day chunks, in between working out and doing something else. There's just a way of to nourish and you've been saying light worker, spiritual counselor. I imagine this is for ministers, authors, speakers. Who else would be a good candidate for coming to these?
Yeah, well, and I've worked one-on-one with ministers who've said, I have a confession to make. Because you're my counselor, I can make this confession that I don't like speaking. I don't like doing it. And I've said, okay, let me share with you a few things. And a year later, I'm asking them, so how's it been for the last year? And they're like, oh, I love speaking now. It totally changed everything for me. And so there are people who I work with all the time who are in business. And they come to my spiritual counseling training intensive, and they're coming to this. We've got all kinds of people, even just people who don't feel entirely comfortable sharing can come to this. And that's what I find is it attracts a wide range of people, which really makes it nice. And another thing that's really important to me, Karen, that I've seen from Spirit all the time is that in a lot of professional trainings, which this is definitely professional training. It's part of the developing minister teacher program at the Power of Love Ministry. So in a lot of professional trainings, and you probably know this better than I do, there can be a lot of judgment or comparison, and it can feel threatening and frightening to step out in that kind of an environment. Well, I always create an environment that feels very soft and friendly. And what I love is sometime in the first day, almost everybody comes to me and says, you know, Jennifer, I thought I was the only one that had these problems. And I mean, I was totally convinced I was the only one. But it turns out I'm not. And I'm like, I know. So let's fly now. Let's fly. Instead of sitting at home thinking, you know, I could do this if only.
Yeah.
And, I struggled with resistance and procrastination for so many years. And I just want to help everybody break through that.
You know, I love that you're saying this. I thought I could do it on my own. Sometimes I think I should be able to, or what I've noticed that I'm really coaching people to move out of is let me get it perfect. And then I'll go see if someone wants to. And this is a laboratory of spirit. It's a consciousness experience. Well, let's talk about each of the three topics for a moment, and then we'll go into some logistical questions, because I know if you're thinking, is this for me? There's a lot of stuff about Scottsdale, August. Oh my God. Yeah. So let's talk about writing. So what are some of the, like what I see from you with writing is you're so, well, because you said the word resistance, which is interesting. Like with writing with me, it sometimes feels a little hard because I'm a good talker, but then when I sit to write, sometimes it's like, so tell us a little bit about accessing like the divine author within, and give us a couple of the gems about thinking about bringing our writing to a deeper level.
Yeah, that's a really helpful question, because when there's resistance like that, when it feels hard, then we're really writing from the ego and thinking, what should we say? What's important? We're not tuning in to spirit. I find that writing is super easy. It just flows right out of me, but it didn't used to. But it does now, because I'm really channeling spirit. And I use that word channeling pretty loosely, because I don't feel like it's a different voice. I'm just connecting to my higher self. Mm. And so that's what I would like to share with people. How do you connect with your higher self? How do you know it's your higher self? And how to write a really super powerful, poignant piece. I just wrote an article the other day that was 2,000 words, which is like 5 or 6 pages, a huge article for a magazine. But a lot of times I just write 200-300 words.
Yeah.
So being able to write different sizes, this is wonderful. Now, my co-host in these events is John Mundy, who's Course in Miracles granddaddy of them all. And he has written many books. So if you're interested in writing books, he's our book expert.
Yeah. That's wonderful. You know, and I'm assuming people will get a chance to do the tune in, feel comfortable, and they'll be doing some writing exercises before.
We're going to do a lot of writing. You're going to come and we're going to be full on. We're going to be at a beautiful resort, but we're going to be full on. Do not plan to multitask. Be prepared to be full on, and I'm going to give you a fair amount of prep work to bring to the table so that you can absolutely maximize every hour of the day in this retreat. And you're going to be working, and you will feel very full at the end of each day, but you're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. So people can hear it. Like one of the great things about Jennifer is like, can you tell she's moved through resistance and procrastination. So Mama's playing big, and Mama's also like playing for keeps. All right. Let's talk about teaching and workshops. So this is such an interesting one. Many people, like I know many practitioners, counselors, authors, speakers, coaches that want to give workshops, and there's a lot of logistical training out there, which is helpful. There's a lot of content development training out there, which is helpful. Tell us a little bit about when you're teaching how to give workshops. Tell us about like the container you create, the wisdom that's going to be imparted. That piece seems really important.
Well, a big part of it, Karen, is that when I never took any logistical things. I just watched and learned. I just went out there just threw me out of the nest and I just went. So I learned the hard way, which I would like to make it so nobody ever has to do that again. This was very challenging, and fortunately I didn't give up. And the thing that a lot of people don't include in this kind of work is they don't understand how people learn. Not everybody learns the same way. So being able to really read the room, who's in the room, what's going on, how are they processing it? Are you clearly communicating in a way that's effective for them? These are the kinds of things that people don't really think about when they're preparing a workshop. And then it's kind of flat because they have great information, they have super good content, but they are not great at presenting it because I mean, you can go to a lecture, but lectures aren't healing. So what I'm really offering is how do you work with an audience so when they leave the room, they are on fire. They feel like they've had a healing. They feel like they've had a transformational experience. So this is really good for anyone who has a subject that they love, that they'd like to share more about. This is great for someone who maybe is some kind of holistic practitioner, that's an on something, and this is a great way to introduce your tools and what you offer, because that's what I did. I did so many workshops as a way of introducing people to work with me as a spiritual counselor and to consider taking my classes. I still teach workshops on forgiveness, but not as a lead generator. But fantastic way to get clients and customers and to find new people to work with, but only if you have a really healing transformational event. So this isn't just about making a presentation. This is about giving people a healing opportunity in the room.
So powerful and such an important distinction. And, I'm thinking about, there's a lot of folks who are experts in a holistic thing like a nutritional thing or a kinesiology thing or a body thing, where if you can learn how to create experiences and events where people have a transformation, that's how people say, I want to work with you. So that's great.
Exactly.
And then the final thing is speaking, which is a great love of mine, a love of yours. And I still remember the days when you and I were, was that 15, 20 years ago when we were practitioners and ministerial students and we'd practice our talks. And over the years, you've developed such a heart and a passion for speaking from spirit and having that really be something you love to do and a vital part of your ministry. So what's the speaking retreat?
Yeah, so when I was in ministerial school with you, Karen, and we took classes in homiletics, right, the art of sermon giving, I was not very good. I was terrible at it, and I didn't know why. I thought, well, I'm such a talker. How can this be? But I actually got really weirded out and freaked out by having to conform to the 3 key points and all the different things that they say, because it took me right into my ego, right into my head, and I was no longer listening to spirit. And so I was stuttering, I was stammering, I was trying to read something that I'd written that was great then, but now didn't feel quite so great. And I just put all of that aside and I said, okay, Spirit, teach me how to speak. And I actually was given a series of exercises intuitively of what to do and how to do it to really learn how to speak on my feet without any notes. I remember I spoke at a Christian church once, and afterwards, somebody in the congregation came up to me and they said, that was so inspiring. And you did it all without notes. And I was like, yes, I did it all with God. So it's, and for someone who would like to give an informational talk, I can teach you how to do it. You won't need any notes, because I do informational talks too, particularly when I'm speaking about A Course in Miracles. It's, there's information in there and points I want to hit. So it's about learning how to feel comfortable, trusting spirit to lead you and guide you. It's not about technique. Technique is good when you're nervous and you're stuck. but it's even better to rise up to spirit and be led by spirit. So that's why I'm really offering these at a whole different level than what most people would find out there. This is really about inspired writing, inspired teaching, and inspired speaking, so that we can inspire others to inspire others too.
That's beautiful. Well, let's talk about the logistics, because sometimes people are like, well, what's it going to be like? So I'll give the headline of my beloveds. August in Scottsdale. Yeah, it's going to be hot, but it's going to be beautiful. So I live right here in Old Town Scottsdale, a mile and a half from the wonderful retreat hotel that Jennifer's going to be doing her retreats at. And what I want to say is it's actually really easy to fly into Phoenix Sky Harbor. You're 20 minutes from the airport. It's a beautiful neighborhood. You are like short little rides away from retreat centers and Camelback Mountain and a lot of beautiful things. And Arizona in August is intense and beautiful. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So tell us a little bit about what people should think about if they're thinking like, should I do 1 retreat, 3 retreats? What's my travel stuff? Like, help people kind of think through and feel through the logistical piece.
Sure. Well, I visited you in Scottsdale last August, and then I went back again, and I actually was at an event at this resort. It's the Scottsdale Plaza Resort. And when I was there, I thought, I really like this place. I like the energetics of it. It's a beautiful resort. It's a true resort. And meaning it has all the amenities, it has 5 pools and multiple restaurants, and it has spa services and putting ranges and tennis courts and all that stuff. And they accept dogs because people go to resorts, like to bring their little dogs. And there's a ton of things around there. But I'm just going to say, first of all, don't plan to do anything else while you're in because we'll morning, noon, and night. I take every minute I can get from you because I would like to give you as much as possible. That's just how I roll. We do have a good lunch break and things like that. You will have plenty of time to sleep. We're not going to stay up till midnight, but it's going to be full on. So if you'd like to do some sightseeing, like go to the music museum, the instruments. What's that museum? It's fantastic.
Yeah, the Musical Instruments Museum, or see the botanical gardens, or there's
a lot of the butterfly place. There's a lot of beautiful things there. Plan to stay extra if you'd like to do those things, and you'll be able to work out in the morning early if you'd like. And I'm going to teach Kundalini yoga every day to help us be more open to spirit. It's going to be easy yoga. Kundalini is not like hatha yoga, so it's not going to be an intense workout. It's really going to be a spiritual opening, and the other thing to know about this is, so there's inspired writing, Thursday to Sunday, and then inspired teaching, Sunday to Thursday, and then inspired speaking, Thursday to Sunday. So the writing and the speaking are the bookends. So if you wanted to come to 1, 2, or 3, you can. If you come to all 3, we give you a discount as well.
Yeah, I feel like all the links and Jennifer's invitation page, her and John have put a beautiful invitation page together. And I know your team's available if people have specific questions. And I feel like at this point, I really trust viewers who are feeling, is this for me? You can tune in and make a decision. I encourage you, if you're someone like, don't wait and be doing your 3rd summit, inviting Reverend Jennifer Hadley, and then saying, I wish I'd done a retreat with you. Like, do it now. Be with her now. And Jennifer,
we have payment plans. We always have extensive payment plans because we know we've got a lot of light workers. Money can be tight. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah. And actually, let's kind of close out with, you've followed spirit, and you've built or been the steward, the leader of a thousands of person ministry that is helping people transform and heal all over the world. And you've created a financially prosperous, generous, excellent life for yourself and for your ministry. So say a word or two. It's on my heart. How will you help people to see that when they give their gifts to the world, it's also a financial benefit for them and for others?
That's such a good question. I'm so glad you asked that, Karen. I have to say, one of the biggest challenges I see is people feel that, light workers feel that somehow earning money is bad or wrong, or that money is the root of all evil, and it's not. It's not. That's pure ego thinking. And I had to really work through that myself. And I came to the place of everything I give to God. Everything I receive from God. Therefore, it's always in balance. So I've had to learn to be extremely receptive, because everything comes from God. Inspiration comes from God. Money, anybody who's showing up in my life to share with me, they're of God. So only God all the time. And when we don't feel worthy, when we feel guilty, because that's the big thing that most people have got going on, is that I'm not good enough, something's wrong with me, I'm bad, all this stuff, which most light workers keep hidden because it's not very spiritual to think about it or talk about it. But that's the big elephant in the room all the time. Breaking that down so that you can share your gifts and talents. It's not just about the flow of money. It's about the flow of inspiration. It's about feeling qualified, really qualified and confident on that stage, writing that piece, sharing what you're sharing in a workshop. That's what it's all about. And that comes from your heart. And when you work with it that way, the prosperity naturally comes. You feel worthy. You're glad people are inspired and would like to pay for the services you're offering. That's a good sign. And I'm telling you, it's really life-changing.
Yes. Well, that is a beautiful note to end on. It's all of God, from God, in God. Like, that's what we're creating. All right, my sweet friend, I can't wait for you we're going to get a chance to play a bit while you're here in Arizona, which I'm so glad of. And thank you all for listening and being part of this conversation. I see you, light workers, prosperous, powerful, inspired, and making a difference. Thank you, everybody.